In 2 days, Trump will be inaugurated as the President of the United States again. And y'all have been asking me how this will impact you financially. And as much as I want to stay in my safe little non-political bubble for the next 4 years, I am going to try to address your questions. Specifically, we will talk about income taxes, tariffs, and healthcare costs. And just to be very clear, I'm a proud alumni of Howard University and a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I moved to DC under Obama's first term, and I was a volunteer at the 2024 Democratic National Convention. I support women's rights, LGBTQ rights, protecting the environment, et cetera, et cetera. And as a successful business owner, I actually benefit from Republican fiscal policies, but I have the good sense to value human rights over money. So, in short, I was 10 toes down for the Harris-Walz campaign. Having said that, I am going to attempt to give a nonpartisan analysis of Trump's policy. We will see how this goes. Starting with income taxes. Trump's previous administration introduced the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, which was beneficial in the short term because it provided significant tax cuts for individuals and businesses. He increased the standard deduction for individuals and added credits for business owners. Those expire in 2025. That's right, they expire at the end of this year. It was all a political power move to gain more support from his followers in the short term, but those tax cuts are not sustainable for the U.S. economy in the long run. Economists calculated that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act would actually increase the national debt by trillions. Now, policies that increase the national debt can lead to inflation or higher interest rates over time, which affects savings, loans, and mortgages for everyday people like you and I. I imagine Trump will continue to work on the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, like he will do he will do some sort of extension or increase those short-term benefits. So that actually can be a good thing. I need to stop saying actually. That can be a good thing to continue to have these deductions. It's just the long-term impact and how that affects the economy. The second area we will look at, tariffs. So tariffs are a fee that one country charges an international country for providing products in that one home country. For example, the US could charge a tariff against Canada for maple syrup, in which case the cost of maple syrup brought in from Canada to the United States would increase. The idea is that the tariff will make the US-based products more competitive in pricing, which will encourage money and spending in your country. It will encourage people in your country to keep the money circulating in your country. It will also support businesses in your country. Overall, it's a very common and smart fiscal policy used around the world, not just in the US. Like tariffs are a normal part of international macroeconomics. However, it affects us as an everyday consumer because if you purchase products from abroad, you can now expect to pay more for your tariffs or pay more because of the tariffs. And allow me to give an example of this. I once had a client that requested we only use products based or made in the US. The items that we needed to purchase cost about 20 cents if we got them in China. However, if we got them in the US, they were $35 each. That is a 174% increase. And if y'all think groceries cost a lot now, wait until they cost 174% more because of tariffs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like immediately we're going to mess around and see some eggs cost a lot more or something like that. It's just that is how tariffs work. They increase the cost of the international good to match that of the cost of the domestic product. It does not mean that one of the products now costs less. They are just similar in pricing. The next area we talk about, healthcare costs. Under Trump's last administration, attempts were made to repeal the Affordable Care Act, ACA, also known as Obamacare. Trump has indicated that he wants to continue to weaken the Affordable Care Act, which could reduce coverage or increase healthcare costs for some individuals. If those similar policy topics resurface, you will want to see how that could potentially impact your healthcare premiums or accessibility. So in other words, the cost of healthcare coverage for certain people, for certain conditions, could go up. Not necessarily sure. It could all stay the same. It's not exactly like people are anti-Affordable Care Act. Some businesses didn't like it, especially small businesses, because it required them to provide health insurance. But a lot of the upheaval about healthcare cost has actually subdued. Like the frustration that was associated with Obamacare has been subdued. So that might not be what he tackles right away. Not to say he won't tackle it. Now, let's not forget that Republicans control all three branches of the government under this new wave we're in. And in of itself, that is not terrible. Like, it's not like Republicans are just bad people or something. Like, let's not act like that. Like, we have Republican friends, y'all. It's not terrible. And regardless of political parties, it always takes a few months to see any drastic policy changes because the president typically needs to fill the positions in his cabinet before enacting policies. I know what you're about to say. This is not a typical president, so why am I acting like this is a typical thing? Bear with me. I'm trying, y'all. Even if all the positions were filled quickly, which would be atypical, but possible, even if all the cabinet positions were filled quickly, his administration has indicated that they are still working on concepts of plans. So until we know these concepts of plans and the actual plans themselves, my advice, keep doing what you're doing. Have at least 6 months of savings. That is regardless of any president, of any situation, of how rich or poor you may think you are. Have at least 3, but I say 6 months of savings because that always gives you the flexibility to handle unexpected expenses, to be able to move things around, to be able to take care of yourself if you lose your job, if you have a health concern, any of that. Also, do not make knee-jerk reactions and changes to your investments based on things you just see on news articles and social media. Um, Mark Zuckerberg recently announced that on his platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, they will no longer be doing fact checking. So people can just post anything and you won't know if it's necessarily accurate or factual, actual. Because of that, check where you are getting your information from. And when you receive that information, do not make immediate knee-jerk reactions to your investments. Evaluate it. Get different sources. Like, I appreciate you watching this video. Watch other videos. Get as much content as you can. And then most importantly, protect your peace because your peace is what? Priceless. I know you see it. I know you see it. Your peace is priceless. Whew. I did it. I got through it. I'm almost done. Also, last but not least, let me know what other financial topics you want me to analyze in light of the Trump administration. Student loans, child care costs, DE&I funding, jobs and equal pay and wages, any of it. I will do my part to provide updates as we see more and to the extent that it does not stress me out because y'all see I had to like whoosah a few times through this. Again, I don't think the actual policies are coming immediately. I do not think it is going to be some, just terrible thing with policies. My bigger concerns are the type of people and behavior that are empowered with this administration. That I think is the bigger threat. I do not think the fiscal things are the biggest concern and threat right now. Not to say you should ignore them. I just think the type of behavior that is not only tolerated but encouraged is a bigger risk. Having said that, take care of yourselves, y'all, and I will see you for the next video. Peace.